happy about that this early. That's a matchup you expect to see much later on in this U.S. Open Cup tournament. But with the geographical situations and matchups that they're implying for this year, that's why we see that so early.
And that will be the case again in the 5th round. Once all these matches are decided today and tomorrow, they will use geographic components to draw teams into the next group. And the round of 16 will remain after this 4th round. Jeremy Lynch does well to touch his way around Kevin Ellis. Ellis recovers and knocks it away. St. Louis FC on the front foot. Across is knocked away by Amadou Dia. We welcome those of you watching our YouTube channel stream, Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis FC. We are in the 8th minute. 0-0 is our score here at Sporting Park. It is a sold-out match in the 4th round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. We apologize for the technical difficulties. If you missed the first few moments of this match, you have not missed a score as of yet. Nate Bucati along with Andy Greenebaum here at Sporting Park. Dom Dwyer trying to play it forward to Roger Espinoza, but it's dealt with by the back line of St. Louis. And if you are just joining us, we'll reset the starting 11 for you for both sides. First off, for Sporting Kansas City, Tim Melia is in goal. The back line is Amadou Dia, Matt Beasler, Kevin Ellis, and Chance Myers left to right. Chance Myers making his first appearance in a Sporting Kansas City uniform since suffering the torn Achilles tendon on May 23rd of last year. The midfield trio of Sonny Mustavar in the holding role with Roger Espinoza and Benny Feilhaber in the more advanced positions. And then the 3 forwards from left to right of Graham Zusi, Dom Dwyer, and Connor Hallisey. So as you hear those names, you will recognize almost all first-choice players for Sporting Kansas City, at least of the players who are available. Connor Hallisey out there, as Christian Nemeth is still making his way back from Hungary. And Chance Myers out there, as we mentioned, for the first time this year. Now, for the visitors from St. Louis, Mark Pace is your goalkeeper. From left to right, defensively, Chad Vandergrift, Sam Fink, Patrick Duty, and Jacob Bouchou. It's a 4-4-2 in the diamond formation. The left wing, Oscar Cialuska, and on the right wing, Parker Marr. The holding midfielder is Brandon Barklage, one of the veterans. He's the captain. Jameel Hardware is the attacking midfielder. And the 2 forwards, Mike Ambersley, a 32-year-old veteran, and Jeremy Lynch. St. Louis FC in the all-white uniforms. Knocked all the way back to Patrick Duty, and now back to Pace, the goalkeeper. Chance Myers rising up for the header. And every time you see Chance Myers with a different challenge, maybe is it, stopping and starting, rising for a header, all those things, testing out that Achilles tendon. Now, he's been doing that in training for upwards of a month now, Andy.
Sure, but no one else has seen that. Everybody here is kind of holding their breath, making sure that every step, like you mentioned, is a good one, and that, he's strong, he knows it. It's like we talked about earlier. It's just that mentality, getting back into the swing of things.
While he was recovering from that torn Achilles, Chance told me he just swam thousands and thousands of meters in the pool, but he said that is nothing like getting out on a soccer field. I mean, yeah, your lungs are in good shape, but it's not the kind of shape that you have to be in when you play soccer.
Well, it's non-weight bearing type of workout, and it's a different beast. I'll say that for any swimmers out there. I want no part of that. I'd rather run all day long than go for that kind of swim.
Chance Myers, a California kid and surfer. I think he's quite comfortable in the pool, but he said he's got to get back to 90 minutes match fitness, and that's going to be a process still for him. Sporting Kansas City should be regaining the services of Eric Palmer-Brown, who is back from the U20 World Cup after the U20s got knocked out in penalties against Serbia in the quarterfinals. And Christian Nemeth will be back later this week. But then, of course, you've got Gold Cup action starting up in July, and 5 players from the Sporting Kansas City roster have been named to the provisional rosters for their respective countries. So it'll be a mix and match through the rest of the summer.
Yeah, it's just the way of the world these days, and Sporting have done very well with the limited numbers that they've had thus far, and so you hope that success continues.
12th minute here at Sporting Park. 0-0 the score between Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis FC. There's a giveaway by Sporting, and this could be a dangerous situation here. Lynch coming for it, and it's Tim Melia well off his line to deal with it for Sporting Kansas City.
Well, a bad giveaway by Benny Feilhaber, very uncharacteristic, and Tim Melia made up his mind. He was a little bit late, a little bit fortunate, but he definitely made up his mind early when 100% was able to get to the ball.
Tim Melia has been aggressive ever since coming into the starting lineup for Sporting Kansas City as the first choice goalkeeper. 6 matches unbeaten, 4-0-2 his record so far in MLS play, now making his first U.S. Open Cup start in the Sporting Kansas City shirt.
It's always tough when that's your first real action of the game, is a through ball, and you're not sure right away if you're coming out, and then, you know, he makes up his mind right there, gets there a little bit late, fortunate just a little bit, but he made himself big to get that ball, but that's always a tough one.
Feilhaber to Connor Hallisey, tried to play it back to Feilhaber. Touch let him down a little bit. The city of St. Louis has seen a lot of success in the 102 years of the U.S. Open Cup, but this is the first time ever for St. Louis FC in this competition. And as far as we know, the first time ever that a matchup of a Kansas City team versus a Missouri team has gone down in the U.S. Open Cup. Now, there has been some history between these two cities in the world of soccer. Now, Andy, you and I are of the age group that will remember some fantastic rivalries between the Kansas City Comets and the St. Louis Steamers in the MISL back in the 80s.
The ambush as well with the attack, and tons of good matchups there from my childhood. But make no mistake, there's a lot of pride represented on this field, as there's a lot of homegrown talent from Sporting Kansas City, as well as a lot of local St. Louis boys wearing that jersey with pride out there for this St. Louis FC squad as well.
So much talent coming from the city of St. Louis for years and years and years, and Kansas City has really caught up in many ways, with Matt Beasler becoming the first ever Kansas City native to play in the World Cup this past summer. Of course, St. Louis has had one very notable one, but more than one that have played on that stage. And Sporting Kansas City and SportingKC.com did a very nice feature also on an outdoor rivalry that took place back in 1968 between the Kansas City Spurs and the St. Louis Stars, maybe sowing some of the seeds of what has become such a big soccer movement here in the Midwest over the past 10 years, starting all the way back in the late 60s. Here's Feilhaber.
Well, and Nate, for the moment, I mean, this is a Chicago Fire affiliate, and Sporting Kansas City historically have not been the biggest fans of the Chicago Fire, so why not try and spark something in this matchup?
Here's Hallisey. Now Roger Espinoza. And all the way back to Sonny Mustavar. 16th minute at Sporting Park. 0-0 the score. Espinoza with some space. Tried to slide it through for Hallisey, but it was dealt with. Only as far, though, as Mustavar, who maintains possession for Sporting Kansas City.
Espinoza, with all the time in the world, ran out of ideas. I would have liked to see him put that on his left foot early and have a crack at goal, maybe try and get this back four to step out of the zone they're playing.
St. Louis starting to sit back a little bit as Sporting Kansas City maintain possession. Espinoza working down the right-hand side now. Cuts his way back toward the middle. He is taken down, and the whistle blows. It's a foul on Brandon Barklage.
See Espinoza on that favored left foot, just gets dragged down, clearly a foul. Good set piece opportunity here for Sporting Kansas City. We talk about the size of this St. Louis team, so it's all dependent on that very good service from Graham Zusi, Benny Failhaber, Dom Dwyer, whichever one takes it. Good runs into the box.
Barklage, the guilty party on the foul there. He's one of the few players on this St. Louis team with some legitimate MLS experience, drafted by DC United back in 2009. 13 appearances with San Jose just last year. And he gives Sporting Kansas City a dangerous free kick here. It'll be Zusi. Headed by Dom Dwyer, and it hits the crossbar. Oh, Dwyer came oh so close to putting Sporting Kansas City ahead right at the start of the 18th minute.
Great sign, though, from Graham Zusi. Not rusty at all with that service. Good run by Dom Dwyer. Good to see him back and making those runs that we know that he's very capable of. And it's a tad bit lower. That's in the back of the net.
Failhaber dispossessed right along the 18. Sporting Kansas City maintaining that high press. Taken away by Espinoza. Failhaber back to Espinoza. Now Failhaber chipping and nobody there to run onto it for Sporting Kansas City. But now Sporting Kansas City starting to get back on the front foot.
Well, in St. Louis so far in this game have not been shy. As we take a look at another set piece from the previous one where Dom Dwyer just goes off the crossbar. Not been shy at all to play. They want to get the ball on the deck and play, and they've actually had some good spells of possession. Now, there's a time and place for it. That is not the time, especially when Kansas City sniff that pressure and can really high press up the field, win the ball in a dangerous area, and almost have a look at goal.
Dom Dwyer was dealing with a multitude of injuries. As recently as last week, he was not in the starting 11 against Seattle Sounders, but Sporting Kansas City fans will recall that he was the player that drew the perhaps controversial penalty that decided that match 1-0 in favor of Sporting Kansas City. Benny Failhaber putting away the penalty kick. But Dom Dwyer was the player who, having the guts to go into that challenge with Stephen Fry and draw that penalty. But he was not 90 minutes ready a week and a half ago. He is in the starting 11 here and almost opened his U.S. Open account, but denied by the woodwork.
And Nate, on that previous clearance by Tim Mealy, I think Tim's played phenomenal, but that's one of the critiques that I have. If I'm going to nitpick, I think, yes, he plays the ball outside as Graham Zusi breaks here. I'll finish mine in a minute.
It all started with a great tackle from Zusi. Let's see how it finishes. Zusi working his way into the area. Still Zusi with the cross, and it's cleared away nicely by Mark Pace, who had to come off his line. But what a run from Graham Zusi that all started well back in his defensive third with a fantastic tackle.
Just phenomenal run by Graham Zusi. This is the last thing you want to see, as you see Zeus go to ground and then just takes off. You don't want to see that if you're a St. Louis FC player. Graham Zusi rushing at you with a full head of steam.
Now Zusi will take a deep breath after that long run. He just put in about 100 yards. He will take the outswinging corner. Never clears the first man, but Chance Myers gets it back out to Connor Hallisey. Now Myers, and back to Zusi with the cross, headed away by Duty. Away by Duty once again. Espinoza now, Failhaber. 20 minutes gone at Sporting Park. Sporting Kansas City have had some chances, most notably the free kick that found the forehead of Dom Dwyer right along the 6, but he blasted it off the crossbar. And boy, did he just drill, I mean, just flush. Caught the woodwork.
You know, it was more the service. All you have to do is nod that on frame, and Dom does it, unfortunately, just a little bit too high with that crossbar.
Hallisey and Musavar couldn't decide who was going to come for that ball. Musavar is able to touch it on to Zusi. Zusi and Hallisey have been switching sides, and Amadou Dia came from an offside position to receive that pass.
It's much better possession, though, from Sporting Kansas City. Early on, just wasn't able to break down this St. Louis squad that's putting 9-10 players behind the ball, and I think Sporting are really playing at the tempo they want at the moment.
Peter Vermees looking on as he has made no bones about the fact that the U.S. Open Cup is always a big priority for Sporting Kansas City. And I really do think, Andy, that now the fact that it is a path to the CONCACAF Champions League has really given some added motivation to MLS teams to really try to go for it in this tournament. And the closer that MLS teams get, and we saw how close they were this year to actually winning that competition, maybe the more teams want a piece of that.
Well, yeah, and with regards to the Open Cup, it used to be where, you know, you bid on these games, and typically my experience is you're on the road against the USL side on some bad turf field, and you put a B squad out there, and now you see a lot of upsets happening and a lot more MLS teams taking it serious.
Not every MLS franchise will have a sellout for a U.S. Open Cup fourth round game, but that's what we have here in Kansas City.
And it's so much easier to get motivated for this type of game when you're playing a USL side, and a good one at that. I mean, if you need any added motivation, this is a good side. They brought a good fan base, and this is where you can't leave a team like St. Louis in it for very long, because all it takes is one bad turnover. We've already seen such an instance from Benny Feilhaber early on.
Offside flag raised against Dom Dwyer. He was played through by Graham Zusi. And it could have been on for Sporting Kansas City, but Dwyer could not quite time the run properly. This ball finds its way to Zusi, trying to chip it forward for Hallisey. He was tracked down by Sam Fink, and it's into the arms of Mark Pace, the goalkeeper for St. Louis. I mentioned this match is a sellout. Now, this is a part of the season ticket package for the Sporting Kansas City fans, so you might see a few empty seats, a smattering maybe of empty seats along the far side. Maybe not everybody making their way out to Sporting Park today, but they sold basically all of the standing room only tickets today. Every ticket that was available was snatched up for this match, and I would say quite a turnout here once again for fourth round U.S. Open Cup action. Here's Mustavar. Now Zusi, who's back on the left side for Sporting Kansas City. Kevin Ellis in possession, playing it back to Beasler. Ellis seems to have really settled into that center back role, while Eric Palmer Brown was out with the U20s, doing whatever he can to try to make it difficult for Palmer Brown to win that job back when he comes back. Here's Feilhaber working around one defender, now back to Chance Myers. His cross right into the face of the onrushing Chad Vandergriff.
But how do you pick apart a team that's sitting back with 9-10 guys? You move the ball side to side, get him to shift, and then Beasler hits that long ball. We've seen it a couple times to Chance Myers, and it's 2v1 on the flank.
Sporting Kansas City really putting St. Louis under pressure. 26th minute though, still 0-0 the score. Here's Amadou Dia turning down the left-hand side to Espinoza. Got their signals crossed a little bit there.
See Beasler all the time and space in the world and just picks his head up, and that ball's been on a couple times. Now you see Chance, Benny Feilhaber, 2v1, 2v2. That's the guy you want on the ball, Benny Feilhaber, isolated 1v1 on the outside.
You know, that diagonal pass from Beasler down the right-hand side, to me, is one of his greatest strengths. And he's able to really use that as a weapon, both on the international level with the U.S. men's team and here with Sporting Kansas City.
Well, it's so effective because if you don't shift inside as an outside back, then that pocket of space inside is open. So you have to shift as a unit, and it opens up that space. If there's no pressure on the ball, it's on.
Zusi trying to slide it through for Roger Espinoza, but the touch was just a little heavy. Mustafar keeps it in. And now it's out for a Sporting Kansas City throw. And I think that's one of the areas where Mustafar's really done the job as that holding midfielder for Sporting Kansas City, stepping up and thwarting attacks immediately and winning it back for Sporting Kansas City.
He's been a block, and unsung hero, as Peter Vermees calls it.
Foul on Roger Espinoza. Head referee Boubacar Jallo calling the foul.
See Espinoza just getting a little overly aggressive.
Taking down Brandon Barklage there, wearing the captain's band for St. Louis. Kevin Ellis heading back now to Tim Melia. Melia's really been called on once so far in this first half, and that was after a dangerous giveaway by Sporting Kansas City. Melia coming well off of his line.
Well, and that's how St. Louis are going to get their chances. It's just going to come from giveaways and not taking care of the ball, because you can see they just want to stay compact, put numbers behind the ball, and make sure that they counter when they have the opportunity to do so.
Espinoza in the center circle to Feilhaber. Now it's Zusi, it's Espinoza once again from Zusi. Now Zusi with it. Sporting Kansas City patient in the build-up. It's Mustafar. Now Espinoza. Zusi trying to play it back to Feilhaber. It's taken away. Beasler knocking it away temporarily at least, and Sporting Kansas City able to deal with what could have been a big counter-attacking opportunity for St. Louis. And now it's Zusi running in some space. Zusi out to Hallacy. I'd like to see Zusi maybe have a go there, even from just outside the 18.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Why not have a crack? Test this goalkeeper. He's got to be nervous playing in front of the Cauldron in a big-time atmosphere like this. Test him early. See what happens.
Lynch was onside for St. Louis. Here comes an opportunity for the visitors, but he sprays the shot well wide and all the way out for a throw. And I'm not sure, I don't believe that was a crossing attempt from Lynch.
For sure a shot, but it's not a bad idea. The execution clearly off, but the problem is, as a goalkeeper from that angle, very tough to hold onto the ball if it's not tight to your body. And then you have one runner making a run on any ball that gets deflected out. That could be dangerous for that back four.
And looking at the replay, Beasler tried to step, but it appeared that both Kevin Ellis and perhaps it was Chance Myers had not stepped with him, so Lynch was left onside. Dwyer now down after taking a knock to the back of the head.
When you've dealt with so many injuries as Sporting Kansas City have dealt with this year, the last thing you want to see is in an Open Cup game, even though it is competitive, you want to see everyone unscathed, walk away, no injuries.
Dom Dwyer's wife, Sydney Leroux, is playing as we speak in Canada against Nigeria for the U.S. women's national team. Sydney Leroux,
which we've been asked not to update the score on by.
We will try not to give any spoilers. Yeah, some people, want to watch
it later.
Focus on one match at a time. So we'll do our best not to give anything away here. We're trying to slide Jameel Hardware through. He couldn't get on the end of it, but all of a sudden, a couple of opportunities, half chances for St. Louis FC. 30 minutes gone. What have you thought of the match so far, Andy?
Well, I think Sporting have done a pretty decent job in the middle portion of that 30 minutes, just possessing the ball and moving it quickly. But sometimes it's got to change the point of attack a little bit quicker. And there's been a couple instances where just maybe the runs haven't been there, and maybe it's because it's Chance Myers trying to save his energy, or just try and stay in the game and regain that fitness. But there's been a couple opportunities where it's too slow, too predictable.
Amadou Dia lets it sail out of bounds after the bad pass from Brandon Barklage.
On the other side, you see St. Louis, exactly what you'd expect from a team like this coming into this type of atmosphere, sitting back, countering, trying to take advantage of one mishap, almost had the opportunity to do so.
Kevin Ellis looking long for Dia. Chests it down, keeps it in. It's out for a Sporting Kansas City throw.
Probably a first taste of a long throw here for St. Louis FC, a Matt Beasler long throw.
Beasler does make his way forward now. Beasler asking for some space as Jacob Bouchou trying to stand in the way of Beasler as he runs up on this in the 33rd minute. Right along the 6th, it's headed away by Barklage. Well, the shots are even, one apiece for each team. Technically, 0 shots on goal. Of course, Dom Dwyer with the shot for Sporting Kansas City, and it rattled the crossbar.
Yeah, by far the best chance of the game. But for me, a couple times, Sporting Kansas City had the opportunity to pull the trigger, test the goalkeeper, haven't done so. Trying to look for that perfect pass. Sometime in a game like this, when it's really tight, the spaces are there. Whenever an opportunity opens up, you have to be able to take it.
Dwyer playing it back to Espinoza. Hallisey. And Espinoza. Seems like Amadou Dia spent the vast majority of this first half in the attacking third for Sporting Kansas City as the left back. That shows you how the match has gone for the most part, but still nothing to show for it for Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, a lot of battles down that flank. Not a lot of combination play, though, from Amadou Dia. Taking it down the line, taking guys on.
Beasler keeps it in. '35th minute at Sporting Park, 4th round of the 2015 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, 0-0 the score. Feilhaber ran out of ideas that time, and Zusti has to come back and try to clean it up. He keeps it in. And Sporting Kansas City unlock this St. Louis FC defense here in the first half. Hallisey looking for Chance Myers. Away by Patrick. Actually make that Chad Vandergriff.
Well, great to see Chance Myers making that run, getting into the attack, but just wrong-footed there. Didn't get his timing right.
Well, that was Patrick Duty with the clearance for St. Louis, and he'll take the throw. Mustavar heads back in.
See, now it's got to come out to the other side. Everything's compact just like that, but it's got to be quicker. One pass earlier.
Beasler now switches it to the near side. Things bogging down a little bit for Sporting Kansas City here in the latter parts of the first half. Here's Kevin Ellis. Now Espinoza. Feilhaber. Trio of white shirts around him. He loses out, but Connor Hallisey's there to pick it up. Plays it back to Beasler. Now the rookie Hallisey gives it away. Vandergriff Trying to play it down the field, nobody there. Sporting Kansas City in possession, maintaining a lot of the ball, but not much of a threat when possessing the ball. Outside of that one opportunity for Dom Dwyer. Zusi, though, plays it over to Feilhaber. Feilhaber cuts it back. Sporting fans wanted to see him pull the trigger. Would have been on his left foot, which is not his preferred foot. But again, Sporting Kansas City, just nothing quite coming off in terms of the efforts right now.
Well, it comes off a turnover, which is Sporting Kansas City very known for that. But the problem is trying to force it down the middle a few too many times. The space is out wide. Get the ball out wide, get some dangerous service in, possibly try and unlock this defense in that regard. I think too many times forcing play down the middle to Benny Feilhaber, just trying too hard.
You know what's interesting about that too, Andy, is for so many years here with Sporting Kansas City, when they have had matches where they have struggled to create, they've been accused of doing just the opposite, working it down the outside and just lumping crosses into the box without much creativity whatsoever. But maybe now you're suggesting they could stand to get a little width here to open things up a bit.
Well, I think just a little bit of variety, because the problem is St. Louis are clogging the middle. That's their game plan. They want the ball to go out wide, and they're giving up the outside spaces. You see Dom Dwyer looking to create in the box, and just good timing, good challenge, no penalty there. But the problem is when you force the ball down the middle, that's where the numbers are defensively. There's wide open runs being made down the flanks, and maybe you can combine. It doesn't have to be necessarily be across from the outside unless it's on. But we saw the combination play with, I believe it was Andy Baba to Namath, who turned against FC Dallas, creating that goal to Benny Feilhaber. And that came from a flank play, flank combination, but just a good service into the box.
Sporting Kansas City will have a throw in here, and I think Beasler will come forward to take this as we take a look at the replay. Dom Dwyer appealing for a penalty, and I don't think he's ever going to get that call.
Tough to give that one away.
Beasler with the run-up. Dwyer tried to get ahead to it, and he is called for the foul. He banged heads with one of the St. Louis defenders, trying to make out a jersey number here for you. It was a heck of a collision. Dwyer came in aggressively.
Yeah, that's what Dom does. He just comes in, full head of steam. Looking at the ball, I don't think it's malicious, but just collides with the St. Louis defender there.
'40th minute at Sporting Park. Really not much to report so far in this match. Sporting Kansas City, as we said, with the one good chance. It came off of the head of Dom Dwyer, but he hit the crossbar. Outside of that, pretty quiet first half.
It's exactly the type of game that I personally expected to see. I don't know what you think, but expect to see St. Louis clog the game, try and make it difficult to play, and look to counter, and that's exactly what we've seen so far. One good opportunity, like you mentioned, for Dom Dwyer off the service from Graham Zusi.
The injured player for St. Louis, Jacob Bouchou, the defender from Champaign, Illinois, went to college at Indiana. In his first year with St. Louis FC, appears he's headed over to the side. Appears to be okay, but he's got to come off. Just briefly. You see him telling head coach Dale Schilly that he's fine. Chance Myers wins the header. It's taken by Parker Marr. Lost out to Chance Myers. Now it's Mustavar. Feilhaber under pressure from behind. Cooley, Feilhaber back to Mustavar. Now can Sporting Kansas City switch and get forward? Espinoza to Zusi. Zusi working his way through two defenders outside to Feilhaber. Looking back for Zusi, and Feilhaber's touch. The rare times we've said that this year, touch lets him down.
Yeah, a couple times tonight. I think he's just been a little off his game, trying too hard in the middle sometimes, but on that one just didn't get it right. Good run, though, through the middle by Graham Zusi to open up that space.
Funny things happen when you get into this competition, U.S. Open Cup. We talk about it. Two teams playing on different levels, an MLS team against a USL team. But it's one of the things that I think is somewhat unique to the sport of soccer, and it's one of the things that I think you enjoy as a fan. You get to see smaller clubs get a chance at the big dogs, and you see them come here with all sorts of motivation to see if they can play the role of the giant killer.
And every year you see a few upsets. It's no stranger to this competition. You know, Nate, a lot of these games have this kind of feel to it where Sporting hold a lot of the possession, most of the percentage, and just one bad mistake at the back or in the middle of midfield leads to an opportunity for the other team, this being St. Louis.
That's why it's so important to convert on one of those chances like the one that Dom Dwyer had early, because you get that goal and then you force the visitors to open themselves up a little bit and try to go for the game.
Well, and you have to be able to pull the trigger as well. You're not going to score goals unless you take advantage of opportunities that are given. Take what the defense gives you, and if that's a shot, put the ball in frame, make the goalkeeper make a save.
You cannot buy the lottery. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, I believe is the way the saying goes. Here's Espinoza. Now Zusi. Dying embers of the first half.
And that's a prime example. It goes from Beasler to Ellis to Chance. I think that ball could have gone straight to Chance and skipped a few players, and Sporting could have run at St. Louis with a little bit quicker authority there. But when you play 1-to-1-to-1, it's just too easy to defend. It's too easy to shift.
Now Hallisey. Some work on the right-hand side to Myers. He was looking for Zusi. It was dealt with well by Jacob Bouchou, because that pass would have found the foot of Graham Zusi. He was a little slow getting up after the play. Now it's Hallisey down the right-hand side with a step over. Hallisey working his way to the end line and working his way across the end line.
It's not a bad idea from Connor Hallisey. I would have liked to see him lay that ball off to Graham Zusi inside. As he cut the ball down the line, it was only Dom Dwyer and about 3 defenders on Dom. He was the only runner into the box, and you can see the ball just a little bit too far.
Yep. Being told there will be 2 minutes of stoppage time, as it is 0-0 between St. Louis FC and Sporting Kansas City. Espinoza wins the throw-in for Sporting. Correction, now being told just 1 minute of stoppage time. We haven't seen the official signal from the fourth official. Hallisey. Ball down the left-hand side. Matt Beasler has it covered. And we are told now that it will, in fact, be 1 minute of stoppage time. And St. Louis FC will feel pretty good, I think, about the way this first half has gone.
I think so, giving up the one dangerous chance. Other than that, not a whole lot going for either side, but I think the game plan is exactly where St. Louis want this game to be.
Hallisey playing it back now to Mustavar. Given away by Hallisey. The frustration continuing for Sporting Kansas City as they look for some answers here, but here's a giveaway by St. Louis, and it's Mustavar with it. He's got Myers down the right-hand side. Now Feilhaber back to Mustavar. First half coming to a close. Sporting Kansas City might want to do something with it here. It's Espinoza. Espinoza with some space. Still Espinoza. Damadou Dia gets on the end of it to Zusi, and it's cleared off the line by St. Louis. Now Dwyer back heels to Espinoza. His shot knocked away And that will do it for the first half. A flurry of activity from Sporting Kansas City to close out the first half. I believe it was Jacob Bouchou who cleared it off the line on the header by Graham Zusi, which was a goal-saving play.
But
Take another look.
Much better from Sporting Kansas City. We were just wondering if they were going to get anything going with time winding down, and for sure a great chance there. Amadou Dia chipping it over very calmly. Almost Graham Zusi finding the back of the net.
So 0-0 the score at halftime here at Sporting Park between Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis FC. We will have the second half for you shortly from Sporting Park in Kansas City, Kansas. And welcome back to Sporting Park, where we are just about set for the second half. Sporting Kansas City taking on St. Louis FC. Fourth round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. 0-0 is our score. Sporting Kansas City with a couple of good opportunities in the first half. One coming at the very end of the first half with Graham Zusi with a header that was cleared off the line by one of the St. Louis defenders, Andy. But for the most part, they got kind of mired down in the muck in that first half.
Well, St. Louis certainly want to control the pace of this one, slow it down, and make sure that they don't give anything cheap away on their end. And conversely, they want to counter and just look for little opportunities, bad giveaways from Sporting Kansas City, which they found a couple, but Sporting by far controlling the possession and also the number of chances, which haven't been many, but certainly some very decent looks at goal.
So can Sporting Kansas City unlock that St. Louis FC defense? For the flip side, St. Louis did have a couple of opportunities themselves in the first half. Maybe they didn't result in shots on goal, but a couple of giveaways by Sporting Kansas City that put Tim Melia under pressure. And that's the recipe if you're one of these smaller clubs. Get a big mistake by the home side, and you might have a chance to change the entire dynamics of this match.
Sure, and it becomes all the more difficult if St. Louis are the ones to break through first, because it becomes all the more difficult to break them down on the offensive end going the other way. When you have a one-goal lead on the road in a game like this, you just want to bunker in even more.
So just underway in the second half, cleared away by Kevin Ellis. The starting 11 for Sporting Kansas City again: Amadou Dia, Matt Beasler, Kevin Ellis, Chance Myers across the back with the goalkeeper Tim Melia. Midfielders Sony Mustavar, Roger Espinoza, and Benny Failhaber. And the forwards Graham Zusi, Dom Dwyer, and Connor Hallisey. Those are the same 11 that start the second half for Sporting Kansas City, though we wonder how long we will see Chance Myers out there. Again, making his first appearance since the torn Achilles that he suffered last May. So working his way back into match fitness, you would have to assume he will be the first sub off for Sporting Kansas City. Connor Hallisey trying to make a run forward. Mustavar knocks it back in. Myers taken down on a sliding challenge from Oscar Siasulka. Quick restart by Sporting, but a ball was being rolled back into play. There were two balls on the pitch at the same time, so we'll have to retake the restart.
And Chance, just good little flick, and once again, he hasn't exerted a ton of energy in this match so far, but really picking and choosing his moments and getting forward right here, earning a free kick for Sporting Kansas City.
Almost from about this spot on the opposite end of the field, where Sporting Kansas City had their best opportunity of the match, Graham Zusi found an open Dom Dwyer, who headed it right off the crossbar. Zusi once again. This time dealt with by Brandon Barklage of St. Louis. And now Lynch playing it forward to Parker Marr down the right side, but St. Louis checking it up now. Mark Pace, the keeper. New sign for Patrick Duty. He keeps it in. It's Ambersley. And now Duty crossing it. And it's knocked away by Dia. By the way, Ambersley, who's starting in that attacking midfield position for St. Louis, was the player who cleared it off the line at the end of the first half. I thought it was one of the defenders for St. Louis, but he made his way all the way back, right on the goal line, and preserved the 0-0 scoreline with what was so far maybe the play of the game.
Well, right here you see sustained pressure from St. Louis FC, and it's off a terrific buildup that goes all the way back to the goalkeeper. Plays a phenomenal ball over the forward's head to an outside back, and just the buildup was tremendous by St. Louis FC. Very confident side, wanting to play the ball and not afraid to do so.
So Brandon Barklage, the 28-year-old, the native of Joplin, Missouri, will try his hand at a long throw-in. Well, instead, he'll take it short, looking for Hardware. Hardware turns. He's got a cross, but it's right into the belly of Tim Melia. Myers tried to play it long to Zusi, but Sam Fink, defender for Seattle. I keep saying Seattle. I see the all-white uniforms, and maybe that's what's making me think that. St. Louis
with green shoes as well, kind of throwing you off maybe.
Fink then, though, with the
we're a bit rusty ourselves,
pass.
Having that weekend off.
That's right. Takes you a while to get back into match fitness after 9 days between matches. It's Mustavar. Now Hallisey looking to get it back to Chance Myers. Deflected out for a throw-in. Chance Myers must have gotten to the locker room and convinced Peter Vermees that he's did well and felt fine after the first 45 minutes as he continues on into the 51st minute now. Ellis to Failhaber, looking for Hallisey. Some space outside for Chance Myers. He tried to roll it onto the foot of Dom Dwyer, but Mark Pace, the goalkeeper, pounced off his line.
What's a great build-up here from Sporting Kansas City. Good little flick there by Benny to Connor Hallisey. Chance Myers just, I don't think Dom recognized the early cross. I think everyone in the box thought maybe another touch was going to be taken there by Chance, but good early ball in, just not enough pace to maybe challenge the goalkeeper there.
Mustavar, who I think has done very well so far today, gets it out to Hallisey. Now Espinoza brings it to his left foot. It's deflected toward goal and then headed toward the keeper, Pace, who's able to claim it.
That's better though from Mustavar. From Espinoza. Pull the trigger. A couple times passed it up in the first half. This time, you never know what happens. That ball deflects anywhere else. Dom Dwyer might be lurking.
He got it to his preferred left foot. The touch maybe took him just a little too far, which allowed the St. Louis defense to come out and close him down.
But
that's give away by Sporting.
What happens though. I mean, maybe that ball doesn't deflect and go to another player's head. Maybe it becomes a handball in the box. You just never know.
Graham Zusi was putting Jacob Bouchou under pressure, and it's out for a Sporting Kansas City throw in the 52nd minute. Nate Bucati along with Andy Greenbaum here at Sporting Park. 0-0 the score between Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis FC.
See a good track back there by Graham Zusi, being responsible on both ends.
Dwyer knocked down and a foul. Sporting Kansas City have put largely a first-choice team out on the field here in this U.S. Open Cup. So far, not been able to come up with the right answers for this St. Louis defense.
Good step there from
Mustavar touches it away. He's taken down. Play advantage, says the official. It's Zusi cutting his way back. Zusi taken down and play on.
I think Zusi has a right to be upset here. I think Graham Zusi's clearly dragged down, and maybe we'll get another look at it, but you can see Zusi's not known as a player to take a dive and clearly upset.
Babaku Jallo, the referee, had a good look at it. I have to say, from my first viewing of it, it looked like a stonewall penalty. But Jallo is now pulling the yellow card out of his pocket as we take another look at it. He's going to issue a yellow card And this is actually to Brandon Barklage for the foul that led up to the play, and that's absolutely a foul.
It's a penalty. 100%.
There's no question about it.
Got that one wrong. Zeus still very upset, and rightfully so.
You win some, you lose some when it comes to the decisions made in the box, and some felt that Sporting Kansas City, Ziggy Schmidt may be at the top of the list, the Sporting Kansas City got the benefit of a questionable call that led to a goal of the game winner against Seattle, the last match here at Sporting Park. But I think that one, almost anybody who would look at that would feel that's a stonewall penalty, should have been given to Sporting Kansas City.
Well, either way, you have to move on now. The call wasn't given. It's how you respond now. And Sporting pushing the tempo much better now in the second half.
Espinoza. Now to Dom Dwyer. He fires it off the volley, but it just crawls past the far post.
And Chance Myers can't believe he wasn't on the end of a service here, because he was creeping in on the right side. Just had his arms up wanting the ball to be switched. You expect Dom Dwyer to hit this, but if he looks up, you can see, maybe, no, you can't really see Chance at the edge of your screen, but he was there, arms up, waiting.
But as you said, hard to fault Dom Dwyer. We've been calling for Sporting Kansas City players to pull the trigger a little more often, and he did it from
that's the guy you expect to do it,
right.
So you live with that one.
Chance Myers' time might be coming to a close as I see Saad Abdul Salam, the rookie, making his way toward the touchline, and he will in fact sub in for for Chance Myers. And for Chance Myers, welcome back.
I think that's just what Chance Myers needed, just to get a taste of some game action. Really didn't have to exert himself on the defensive end and get into a silly challenge or anything like that. Most of his energy exerted on the offensive end, which is great to see. Good outing there from Chance Myers.
Saad Abdul Salam, the 12th overall pick in the 2015 Super Draft. Here comes Espinoza working his way toward the box, and here's a dangerous deflection. It's pawed away by Pace, which saved the bacon of Sam Fink, whose touch almost directed that ball in for an own goal.
Yeah, it's a great reaction save, but the pressure put on causes a mishap at the back. That's why you never know. It's good pressure from Sporting Kansas City, almost on the deserving end of a goal there.
Sporting Kansas City looking more dangerous now. 57th minute, here comes the cross from Beasley, headed away by Barklage. Mustavar is back to deal with it. And he'll play it all the way back to Tim Melia. So for Chance Myers, he got 55 minutes in. But now it's left to Saad Abdul Salam to play the right back position. And we've seen him show he can be dangerous getting forward.
Both right back, playing a little bit higher in that wing spot as well. Just showing his versatility. Another one of those first round draft picks from Peter Vermees.
Mustavar checks it back to Espinoza. Mustavar has been busy today. Beasley to Espinoza, tried to clip it to Dom Dwyer, but it doesn't come off. Let's take another look at the no call on the potential penalty after play on.
How many times have we seen Graham Zusi hit that ball and strike it from there and score a goal? And that cutback really sells it. That's an absolute pen.
Barklage is the player that looked to clearly chop down Zusi there. As you said, Zusi, not the reputation should play into the decision. The referee's got to call what he sees, but not a player with a reputation for taking a dive in a situation like that.
Definitely not, and you have to call what you see, and I don't know how you don't see a penalty there when everybody else in the stadium, including us up here, definitely saw what we saw. But having said that, you have to move on. Let's try and do that as well.
The decision won't be changed at this point, and Sporting Kansas City certainly have had their opportunities, and they've got to create more. Here comes Amadou Diaz steaming down the left-hand side. Diaz's cross attempt is blocked out, for a corner.
Great look, though, from Amadou Dia. And this time, Sporting have 4 players in the box ready for the service. Just got cut out by the outside back there, but Dia's been busy on that left-hand side all game long.
It was Jacob Bouchou who knocked it out for the corner for St. Louis. Graham Zusi right in front of the visiting supporters section from St. Louis. Rolls it to Feilhaber. Chips it back, Feilhaber now crossing it in. Bicycle attempt from Dwyer, but it doesn't come off, and it's out for a goal kick. That would have been spectacular, but it ends up in a swing and miss for Dom Dwyer.
A very low percentage effort there, but nonetheless, that's something we expect from Dom Dwyer. And you know, Benny could have had a shot as well from there with 3 players lurking on the far side. If he gets this on frame, goalkeeper makes a save. There's 3 players to follow it up, but Benny, how many assists does he have? You expect him to lay the ball off there as well.
And to answer your question, he's got 7 assists on the MLS season. And could have easily 10 or more with some better finishing by some of his teammates early in the season. Now Feilhaber slams the ball down in anger as he felt it should have been a Sporting Kansas City throw, but instead it's to the visitors. Foot race between Beasler and Lynch. Beasler wins it easily. Back to Melia. Didn't quite get his laces through that one, but Abdul Salam is there to clear it away, but only as far as Barklage. Shipping it forward for Hardware. Working against Dia. Dia's got to be careful here, and Hardware loses it out.
Dia thinks he can get there in the air and just absolutely plays the ball and takes the wrong angle to this and almost gets caught for it because that was dangerously close to being a penalty. And this is a reaction from Benny Feilhaber you can't have, because yes, there are going to be some calls you disagree with, the penalty, the throw-in, but it's right after that where Sporting Kansas City kind of react to that reaction and are on the back foot all of a sudden.
Zusi. Back to Espinoza. Espinoza with the left foot. Bounces into the arms of Pace.
This time Espinoza not hesitating. Senses the pressure from behind and knows his space is limited, so opts to have a shot. And you know, I think St. Louis will take shots from there as well all day long if they're hit with that kind of pressure on Sporting Kansas City players as well.
Roger didn't exactly get all of that one, but it bounced in there, which can at least force the goalkeeper to do some work. '62nd minute, still 0-0 the score. Really a fantastic atmosphere as you hear the Sporting KC chants ringing out, and the very vocal contingent of St. Louis FC fans that have made the trip here down I-70. This is what you want in the U.S. Open Cup.
It really is. I mean, we've talked about it before, but I'm telling you what, this is probably the most exciting atmosphere I've seen for a 4th round matchup. It's usually pretty bare bones, and I think maybe the bye week helps. Sporting Kansas City fans can't get enough and just wanted to come out to the park, but it certainly helps when you have a very good product on the field as well.
Mustavar won the ball, but taken back by Sam Fink of St. Louis. Beasler dueling with Hardware. It's out for a St. Louis throw-in. 5 shots for Sporting Kansas City. Just 1 shot for St. Louis. Only 2 shots on goal for Sporting Kansas City. Some space down the left-hand channel for Duty as he crosses it in, and it found the forehead of Jeremy Lynch, but he sprayed it over the crossbar to Melia, not happy at all with his defenders. That was a clear opportunity for St. Louis.
And this comes from hardly nothing. Just 1 runner in the box. Kevin Ellis not sure. Didn't know he had a man behind him necessarily. Little miscommunication there with Mustavar and Kevin Ellis. And that's all it takes in these matchups, and that's why you see upsets, is because you fall asleep for 1 second and you're going to get punished.
The announced attendance here, we've talked about the atmosphere at Sporting Park, 19,298. This is the largest crowd for a fourth-round match in U.S. Open Cup modern era history. And it's the largest U.S. Open Cup crowd at Sporting Park. And remember, the U.S. Open Cup was won here just a couple of years ago in 2012. Sporting Kansas City give these fans something to really cheer about here in the last 25, 26 minutes. Zusi. Now to Abdul Salam, the substitute. Tried to work his way around Bouchou, but so that was Ambersley. Zusi. It's the sliding challenge, and it's taken back by Parker Marr. He brings it down the right-hand side. Off of Espinoza, out for a throw. With every passing minute for Sporting Kansas City, you have to imagine, Indy, that the frustration builds a little bit.
Well, it can be frustrating, but the whole fact of the matter is, I think St. Louis will want this game to go into penalties because really anything can happen in that situation. They'll look for maybe something in the run of play where it comes off a counterattack, but really and truthfully, these games, you just never know when they go into penalties.
That's why Sporting Kansas City feel that pressure to come away with that goal. And they don't want to play an extra 60 minutes, or I'm sorry, an extra 30 minutes.
Yeah, you said it. You never want to have to go into extra time and expend way more energy than necessary, especially with league games coming up.
Feilhaber with the outside of his foot gets it down the right-hand side to Abdul Salam. Now back to Hallacy. Hallacy cutting his way inside. Slide tackled away nicely that time by Siasulka. Mustavar and Zusi both taken down. And Zusi felt that he was stepped on by Jamil Hardware. The foul given. And Sporting Kansas City retake it quickly. Feilhaber to Espinoza. He's got a little bit of space to run toward goal. Now gets it out wide to Amadou Dia. Zusi. Mustavar. Feilhaber with the left foot bounces it into the arms once again of Mark Pace.
It's the right idea, just very comfortable for the goalkeeper. Pace. Shot right at him as Benny cuts in with his left foot and just clear line of sight. Easy save for the goalkeeper.
And now we see the stall tactics as Pace is told by the referee Jallo to get on with it. Now a foul against St. Louis, and we'll have another substitution for Sporting Kansas City. As Jacob Peterson will come on in place of Connor Hallacy. In the 68th minute, and we'll also have a substitution for St. Louis as Oscar Siasulka, the 23-year-old, will now make way for Charles Rankin. Rankin, who played for the Portland Timbers back in 2012. Last year, spent the season with Arizona United out of the USL. Still 0-0 the score in the 69th minute now. Jacob Peterson, what do you make of that substitution as he comes on for Sporting Kansas City?
Well, just fresh legs, someone who you know is going to give you that up and down effort. Just save some legs and make sure that you get players that you know can go for extended minutes into this game.
Here's Zusi. Still Zusi with it. He pulls the trigger. It's punched away by Pace. As far as Feilhaber. Chipping it in again. Here's Dwyer. And just cleared away by Duty. Sporting Kansas City trying to turn up the pressure here on St. Louis. In the 70th minute, looking for that first goal. Mustavar switches it to Abdul Salam, who brings it down. Now Feilhaber with some space at the corner. Crosses it in, and it's headed into the back of the net. It's Zusi. Sporting Kansas City 1, St. Louis FC 0. You felt it was coming, and in the 70th minute, Sporting Kansas City have taken the lead.
Well, it was a long time coming, like you said, Nate. And Benny, we've been critical of his play a little bit tonight, but makes no mistake with that service. Can sense the runs coming in towards that near post, and all it takes is a flick there with that pace and that accuracy from Benny Feilhaber. And Zusi's there, but it could have been a number of Sporting Kansas City players making runs into the box. Great service, great finish. And this is exactly what Sporting Kansas City need. As this game went longer and longer, you hate to see a 0-0 draw going into extra time. You never know what can happen.
And for Zusi, I think that our only criticism for the most part has been a couple of times we thought that he had the opportunity maybe to pull the trigger or have an effort, and when he decided against it. But we've had some really good moments. The tackle and the 100-yard run by
my
Zusi
criticism was with a few of Benny Feilhaber's, not Graham Zusi. I think he, Benny hasn't, and he'll probably cop to it later, but
maybe another opportunity for Sporting there as the cross came from Dia, but it's out for a corner.
I don't think Benny Feilhaber has been as sharp as we've seen him this year. And so, having said that, anytime you give Benny Feilhaber that much time and space to serve a ball in, that's what he's capable of, and that's why he has so many assists this season.
7 in MLS play, now his first on the season in U.S. Open Cup play. And for Graham Zusi, that's his third U.S. Open Cup goal, which puts him in a 4-way tie for 6th place in Sporting Kansas City history. Here comes the corner from Zusi, and it's headed over the crossbar by Chad Vandergriff of St. Louis, so it's out for another corner. So it's Graham Zusi in the 70th minute, giving Sporting Kansas City the 1-0 lead. As we take another look.
Look at that technique, just that in-swinging ball. Didn't even have a lot of space, but exactly where he wanted it. And all it takes is a flick, as you can see, and there's nothing the goalkeeper can do in that situation except for hope that it hits you.
Benny Feilhaber, that type of space, he is deadly. Now a cross coming from Zusi again. This one back in by Mustavar. Abdul Salam try to turn it back toward the frame. Well, Graham Zusi has one shot on goal in MLS play this season, and he has one goal to show for it. Now he has one shot on goal in U.S. Open Cup play, and he has a goal to show for it.
Pretty efficient. Now you can see St. Louis not getting everybody behind the ball. They have to change tactics a little bit, leaving a couple players high and possibly having to force the play getting stretched out if Sporting can maintain possession.
I'll be very interested to see what the passing statistics are for Mustavar in this game today. I don't remember a giveaway. Not to say that he hasn't had one, I just don't remember one. And Seems like he's been on the ball quite a bit.
A couple of very good turns and switching the point of attack. Good technique, chipping the ball over. He's staying consistent, which is great to see.
Ellis chipping it forward for Roger Espinoza. It's out for a throw-in. As we mentioned tonight, the largest crowd in modern U.S. Open Cup history, the largest crowd ever for a U.S. Open Cup game here at Sporting Park. And yes, that includes the Cup Championship match against Seattle. Here's Dom Dwyer with the left foot. He felt that he was taken down.
Well, he feels like the shot got deflected out for a corner, and I think he's right from when I saw this ball live, and he's pleading with the referee to take a look, which they don't do, but you can see Dom, what a ball by Zeus, springs Dom, and I don't know, after that look, maybe just got under Dom Dwyer a little bit, lifted it too high, but live it looked like the defender had certainly got a foot on. Not sure after that replay.
I don't think so. Couldn't tell if Dwyer was claiming it was redirected or claiming that he was fouled. Espinoza almost gives it away, but there comes Musavar firing in once again.
He's got to be careful as well. The first one went in a little bit dangerous on that one, pulled back. Very smart from Musavar. Back-to-back plays.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's attendance is 19,200.
So as I mentioned, the largest crowd in U.S. Open Cup play ever at Sporting Park. And yes, it includes the championship match back on August the 8th against Seattle Sounders in 2012. That crowd, 18,863. Tonight, 19,298. And this is a fourth round matchup.
Now imagine if they host the final here. I've never played in a fourth round matchup in this kind of atmosphere, so this is exactly,
possibly nobody has until this game.
Well, for sure, but I mean, even anywhere close to it that I can remember, certainly this is what you want as a player.
I think it's good for U.S. Soccer to grow this competition. Now, if Sporting Kansas City are to win this match, they will go back into a draw with other teams in this region for the fifth round, which will basically be 16 teams remaining at that point. So for this match, you would have to win 4 more in order to claim the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Feilhaber sliding it through for Espinoza. Here comes the cross from Espinoza, punched away by Pace. Mustavar gets ahead to it. Feilhaber looking for the run of Espinoza. I think he wanted to give it back to Feilhaber that time.
For the pass back, but what a ball out to start that entire process by Graham Zusi. Just skipped about 6 defenders with one pass. Unbelievable vision and good technique from Graham Zusi.
It's been a heck of a night for Graham Zusi so far. He's got the goal that is the difference so far in the match. That came in the 70th minute. We are in the 78th minute now. Sporting Kansas City 1, St. Louis FC 0. So we see Graham Zusi score with his head. Not something that has happened very often in his time as an MLS player. In fact, his only other headed goal in his career with Sporting Kansas City came in a 2-1 win at Philadelphia back in 2013 in the regular season finale. Feilhaber playing it through to Peterson, who's able to keep it in. Dia trying for the cross. Almost a crot there, and it sails over the crossbar.
I don't know why St. Louis goalkeeper here
Pace.
really slowing things down for a reason I couldn't even tell you. Obviously, the substitution now coming in. Now I see it. But before that, I don't even think he was noticing. He was having a conversation with his defender. I'm thinking get the ball into play, but here comes a couple subs from St. Louis FC.
Kingsley Bryce will replace Jeremy Lynch. And Jordan Roberts will replace Jameel Hardwell. So all 3 substitutions made for St. Louis. Now in USL play, you typically get 6 substitutions, so a little bit different for this USL side. Peter Vermees a little frustrated. He was trying to sub in Marcel de Jong at that same time, but apparently he wasn't ready to go. And we'll have to wait as we are into the 80th minute now, with Sporting Kansas City leading 1-0. De Jong, by the way, is working his way back from an injury. Go back to the point on Graham Zusi and headed goals. I mentioned he's only got 1 other goal as a Sporting Kansas City player that came off of his head. He does have 1 as a U.S. men's national team player. Offside flag raised against Kingsley Bryce. So Zusi did get a headed goal as a U.S. men's national team player in a win over Panama back in the World Cup qualifying campaign in 2014. So for the 3rd time since becoming a professional, Graham Zusi has used his head to find the back of the net.
Well, and we go back to the service, and that's really all it is. It's not one of those that you see a guy go up, direct it with his head. All you have to do is redirect it, and it's almost impossible for the goalkeeper, unless it hits him, to make that save from that distance with that kind of pace. Not saying Zusi couldn't go up and win a header, but it certainly helps when you have Benny Feilhaber serving the ball in like he did on that one.
3rd and final substitution for Sporting Kansas City now is official, as Marcel de Jong is brought on to replace Amadou Dia. 2 players converging on Dom Dwyer for that header, and one of them was called for the foul. Brandon Barklage is the player still on the ground.
You know, Dom does this quite a bit, and he's very good at it, but it's one thing that bothers me, because as I'm looking at from a goalkeeper standpoint, when the forward backs into, doesn't have any effort to play the ball, and then wins the call, it's frustrating. But then again, Dom Dwyer always getting himself into something, isn't he?
He's going to force the referee to make decisions.
One way or another.
Yes. And to be clear, he does not get all of those decisions, but he gets some of them. Feilhaber. Get to Zusi, it deflects. Zusi runs onto it. Trying to chip it back, or clip it back, that is, for Espinoza. But it was dealt with nicely by Brandon Barklage, who's had a good game for St. Louis. Abdul Salam, the lazy touch. It's taken away by Rankin. St. Louis with a chance to equalize here, and the effort sails just wide of the crossbar and the post. It was Mike Ambersley who made the Sporting Kansas City side take a deep breath.
Oh, and it comes off, like you said, the lazy kind of touch there from Abdul Salam, who needs to be a little bit better with the ball, a little bit cleaner, more sure of himself. Because all you need is a sniff there, and this game's back at one apiece.
So Ambersley sending Sporting Kansas City a reminder that this match is not done and dusted, far from it. As we go into the 84th minute. Espinoza to Mustavar. Now Zusi gives it away. Taken back by Peterson. Zusi looking for the run of Peterson. Sam Fink was there to deal with it. Barklage under pressure. Gets it over to Bouchou. Foul called on Marcel de Jong. St. Louis hoping to come up with a stunner here in the final 6 minutes. Fought hard in this match. They held Sporting Kansas City goalless through the first 70 minutes until Graham Zusi was able to break the scoreless draw at the time.
There just doesn't seem to be that urgency from St. Louis. Down a goal late in the game. You know, this is essentially their World Cup to a certain degree. This is the one that they've circled, the one that they've been waiting for. And it just doesn't seem like they have that sense of urgency to get the ball forward and make something happen.
And if you've been playing with a defensive mentality for 70 minutes and chasing the game as well, is it difficult to switch that mindset once you fall behind and change the way you've been playing the entire game?
Well, I don't think it should be. It's certainly, you know, in some instances you do see it, but at the same time, you know you're down a goal. You know that you need to push the game and change the way that you're playing. So it certainly shouldn't be that difficult to do it. You see teams like St. Louis struggle. Maybe just the pressure from Sporting Kansas City is a little bit too much at times. But, you know, then again, you haven't seen them really resort to lumping the ball down and looking for second balls either.
It was a sliding challenge by Kevin Ellis to win the ball away from Jordan Roberts. Now Graham Zusi clipped from behind, and we're going to see a yellow card here. Second yellow of the match for St. Louis.
And that's the kind of challenge you don't want to see, especially with one of your best players, anybody on the field, but with Graham Zusi especially. You see just steps on his ankle a little bit there, very painful, but you see Zeus did a very smart thing in driving across the defender, cutting off his path to the ball, and in doing so just gets clipped.
Charles Rankin goes in the book. 87th minute, Sporting Kansas City leading 1-0. Kevin Ellis checks it up and plays it over to Peterson. Now Abdul Salam. Mustavar quickly back to Ellis. Sporting Kansas City happy to maintain possession here as they try to kill this game off. 3 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Abdul Salam. Back by St. Louis. Sam Fink. Now Duty. Barklage reverses it to the right side. Can St. Louis mount a final attack? Try to equalize this match. It's Duty. Forward for Ambersley. To Duty down the left-hand side. Measuring up Peterson. Cross deflected. Stays in play. Ellis wins the header. And it's back to Jacob Peterson. He gave it to Fehlhaber. I don't think he was expecting it, but is able to get it back to Peterson. Now Sporting Kansas City able to reverse the ball. It's Marcel de Jong bringing it down in the 89th minute now. Mustavar tried to give it back to Zusi, but he had turned his back on the play. It's a giveaway by Sporting. And there's Mustavar after one of the few giveaways he's had the entire match, tracking all the way back to make up for it.
Great response, great cover. It's been covering so much ground tonight. Hasn't had very many turnovers, but that one makes sure he shores up.
He's put a full shift in tonight for Sporting Kansas City. DeYoung out of Espinoza. And back to DeYoung. He's told to stand back up by Jallo, the referee. Giving away penalties tonight.
And it looked a little bit too acrobatic for me, as if, I don't know if there was enough contact there. DeYoung trying to sell it maybe a little bit too much. But let's take a look. Good cut back and puts the defender. Just feels that contact, and I think goes down just too easily for my liking, if you will. I'd like to see him stay up there, and there's a little bit more contact, then you never know, but certainly not selling anybody on that.
90th minute now. Sporting Kansas City trying to kill this one off. Dom Dwyer came from an offside position.
But once again, look at the urgency. There's zero urgency to get the ball into play here. It's taken them 20 seconds to get the ball into play.
We are less than 10 seconds away from stoppage time. Mustavar is now taken down. We are told 2 minutes of stoppage time. 2 minutes for Sporting Kansas City to take care of in order to advance to the 5th round of this 2015 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And credit to the St. Louis fans, still in full voice, watching their team participate in the U.S. Open Cup for the first time in franchise history. Affiliate club of Chicago Fire, winning a couple of games in this competition to make it to this point. It looks as though, barring something spectacular from St. Louis here in the final minute and 15 seconds, Feilhaber tackles it away.
You can see St. Louis, they have an identity where they want to play possession game, that's all great, but at the end of the day, you're going nowhere. Just get the ball up the field, look for second balls, and try something a little bit different. Sporting Kansas City, they'll take this all day long. Now they're content to possess the ball anyway.
About 30 seconds remaining here. Stoppage time. It's Jacob Peterson. Maybe to put the finishing touches on this to Dom Dwyer. Dwyer tried to get it back to his favored left foot, but his touch lets him down. Benny Feilhaber might just have thwarted the final opportunity for St. Louis here at Sporting Park in front of a crowd of over 19,000. The final whistle blows and Sporting Kansas City have won their first match in this 2015 U.S. Open Cup competition. It's Sporting Kansas City 1, St. Louis FC 0 on the goal from Graham Zusi, the assist from Benny Feilhaber. Chance Myers making his return after over a year out after tearing his Achilles tendon a year ago. And there is the man who scored the match winner, Graham Zusi, in the 70th minute. Sporting Kansas City 1, St. Louis FC 0. Andy, your thoughts on the performance by Sporting Kansas City tonight?
I think it was only a matter of time. I think as the game wore on, St. Louis FC just looked a little bit worn out, couldn't hang with the pace, and I think the result is certainly deserved, and possibly one or two more would have been deserved as well.
Certainly had a couple of opportunities. Dom Dwyer hitting the crossbar in the first half. Zusi had a header attempt that was cleared off the line by Mike Ambersley at the end of the first half. We thought a very legitimate appeal for a penalty in the second half for Graham Zusi, but in the end, none of that was necessary, as all it took was one goal for Sporting Kansas City to hold on to the result and advance to the next round of this 2015 U.S. Open Cup. And for St. Louis, won a couple of matches. They got to come here to Kansas City, play against an MLS side. Overall, probably a positive experience for their USL Pro team.
Yeah, definitely great fan base, good turnout. They really brought the energy the entire way, and they're still up and screaming. So kudos to that fan base, and wish St. Louis the best of luck in their league play as well.
Now the draw for the 5th round matchup for Sporting Kansas City will take place on Thursday at 10 a.m. If you'd like to witness that, you can log on to ussoccer.com to find out who the next opponent will be for Sporting Kansas City. That match will end up taking place on either June 30th or July 1st. So just a couple of weeks away for the next competition in this U.S. Open Cup.
Going to put on a very strong defensive effort, and especially against a lower.
So that'll do it for Sporting Park. From Sporting Park, that is. Sporting Kansas City 1, St. Louis FC 0 for Andy Greenebaum. This is Nate Bukaty saying thanks for watching. As Sporting Kansas City win it 1-0, they advance to the 5th round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
Again, we get the result, and we